Hello, everybody. My name is JohnnySigs's, and today whoa, my shirt is super bright. And anyway, today I was originally going to be doing a tournament cast today, but with the surprise overnight installation of the 6.78 changes, I decided to do something a little bit differently. And uh, instead of talking to you about the or doing a cast of a tournament, I decided to talk about some minor predictions that I have for the 6.78. And I'm just going to try to pull it up right now. Great. Okay. So 6.78 um, changes. So there's a bunch of other people who've already done in-depth analysis of what this content is going to mean for the metagame, for the changes in the game, for the changes of the heroes themselves. So my suggestion is it's really long, and I promise I'm going to not make this one that long, is to go check out Luminous's video. He goes through this uh, for 3 hours, a little bit more than 3 hours, and pretty much breaks down everything and talks about all the heroes that got changed and reworked and how it's going to affect the game. A whole bunch of really great commentary from a very experienced and knowledgeable player, and I would recommend that you would watch that for a total recap of everything. Instead, what I'm going to be doing is going through and talking about a couple of the key points that I want to illustrate, a couple of the heroes that I personally really like, or heroes that I think are going to be really popular in 6.78 once it starts getting underway. That means that not necessarily the initial reaction to 6.78, but when we start to evolve and we start to realize what 6.78 is actually going to do to the game as a whole. For those viewers out there who don't necessarily know what 6.78 means, it means that this is the 6.78 version of Dota. If you don't know, Dota was originally on a Warcraft 3 engine, and then it was ported over to be Dota 2, and there's 6.78 versions. One gets tweaked a little bit, so it's really there's six-ish versions. And so yeah, let's go ahead and just jump right into the meat and potatoes of it, and I'm going to talk to you about the major standout initial focus that I think is going to change, other than the pick bans. Where is pick bans? Yeah, this is gonna be really interesting. This is gonna change competitive. Oh, and that's the other thing. We're gonna be talking about primarily. We're gonna be focusing on tournaments, competitive play, and very high skill bracket. So captain's mode is going to change the way we see pick bans done. I think it's going to lead for much more interesting games, a lot less just instant counter um, uh, pick ban scenarios. Like, oh, they pick a life stealer, better pick clockwork. It's going to be a lot different than that. And I think that this is going to be the second biggest factor. Observer Ward's initial stock is reduced to 1 instead of 2. So what that means, and there was a lot of confusion about this, which I was surprised about, but what it means is that instead of the actual stacks of wards, so you buy a packet of wards for 150 gold that comes with 2 wards, that's not going to change. You're still going to be spending 150 gold for 2 wards, but instead of being able to buy 2 sets of 2 wards, so 4 wards at the start of the game, you're only going to be able to buy 2 wards at the start of the game. What does this mean? This means that the early game ganking from mid is going to be a lot easier. That's just the first thing that jumps to mind. There is a bunch of other options and things that people are going to have to take into consideration. Counter warding, for example, warding the bushes to stop pulls. Are you going to forfeit wards in your safe lane or rune wards to be able to do that, or are you going to just have to body block? Okay, so it's going to increase the danger level of the game. It's either going to be that you're going to have to go out of your way into the enemy jungle to block their pulls with your own person, or you're going to have to be spending or you're going to have to be forsaking another lane completely, just neglecting them with wards. Another option would be to buy the slightly more expensive sentry wards. Okay, so those two, the observer wards and the drafts, I think are going to be the biggest changes we see out of this. But what does the observer ward change for me? I think it's going to actually, and I think we're going to see the decrease in the decrease in popularity of stealth heroes. But I think that we're going to see a change, and we'll just talk about heroes who are actually getting changed right now. I think that, where is he? I think Spirit Breaker is actually going to be one of the newest favorites in Dota. Why is that? Well, he excels at ganking when your opponent's map control is limited. So with the change to the early game wards, with the way people are going to be thinking about where they need to prioritize wards, I think Spirit Breaker is going to excel at ganking now. Also, this change here, this Charge of Darkness, will now also Greater Bash its primary target. Now Spirit Breaker has 3 chances to go through BKB and stun something. Right? You got Charge of Darkness will implement a Greater Bash, which goes through BKB. He's got his passive Greater Bash, which will go through BKB, and he's got his ultimate, which will also go through BKB. So I think Spirit Breaker is actually looking first pick, first ban kind of hero. I think that he is a really strong hero. He basically gives you track to your entire team when they're around him with his passive movement speed aura. I think that we'll be seeing a lot more Spirit Breaker play, and I'm super, super excited about that. I love Spirit Breaker. I think he's a great hero, and I'm excited to see if other players will be picking him up as well. I don't think that my next pick got any changes. Oh, he did get a minor change. Hunter the Knight attack speed rescaled from 30, 45, 60, 75 to 45, 55, 65, 75. 20, 25, 30, 35. So he got slightly faster at the early game. I think that Night Stalker is actually going to become another one of those heroes that is really super duper prevalent. I think he's going to be one of those heroes that maybe is not necessarily a first pick, first ban, but he might be picked up as a counter to a mid hero. And I think we're going to see the rise of the mid hero again. A lot of heroes were pushed out of the mid with bottle crowing. Heroes like Ancient Apparition were mid a lot of the time back in the day. And then heroes like Magnus and Templar Assassin, who could use bottle crowing to push these heroes out of lane, really got these heroes out of the game almost, really, because they couldn't fit in any other role particularly well. Ancient Apparition's really squishy. He does have a really big impact on the game, but he's really, really squishy. He is semi-farm dependent, I think. And for some reason, he's just completely fallen out of favor. So, with the changes to bottle crowing, reducing the movement speed of the donkey when it has an empty bottle in it, I think you're going to see a tapering off of heroes like Magnus going mid. Maybe Templar Assassin won't be going mid as often. Brewmaster might not be going mid as often. Pudge might be... I mean, Pudge really kind of relies on going mid, so he's going to have to deal with the bottle crowing issue. But with the removal of the first set of wards, you're not going to be able to necessarily see both runes, so you're going to have to guess. And then the bottle crowing is going to decrease the speed of the donkey, so it's going to slow down that bottle crowing. So I think that heroes who can rely on having mid without necessarily having bottle are going to start to make a reemergence. And Night Stalker excels at killing these heroes. Um, and I think he's going to be picked up as a regular mid hero from now on. I did a practice game the other night, and I picked up a Night Stalker against a Zeus middle, and I took an Orb of Venom with a set of tangos and three ironwood branches, and or two ironwood branches, I think. Really, really strong mid hero still. I think he's only going to get better as the game evolves. So, my initial thoughts: Night Stalker, Spirit Breaker are going to become much more prevalent. Just because I think the game is going to be switching from almost a stall tactic that the game is in right now. It's let's wait until our carries feel comfortable being in team fights. Let's hold on to the team fight as long as we can. Let's maybe push a little bit, but really we want to focus on keeping our carry safe. We want to keep him alive, and we want to deny the opponent's carry. That's kind of where the game is right now. And we can see this arc, the swing through the development of the game, where we had a very heavy pushing strat for a while, and now we're coming back to this dominant, very carry oriented team. I think with the changes in this patch, we're going to be seeing a very, very gank heavy oriented game. I think a lot more action is going to be happening. I think the games are going to be a lot more quick paced. I don't think that they're necessarily going to be faster games. I think that they're just going to be a lot more. They're going to be paced a lot quicker. I think things are going to be happening a lot faster. I think kills are going to be set up a lot more. And I think that, again, heroes like Night Stalker and Spirit Breaker are actually going to be seeing a lot of play. That's, if I had to make one prediction out of this patch, it's going to be that we're going to be seeing heroes that we didn't often see in previous games. I think we're going to be seeing Necrolite a lot. I think we're going to actually be seeing Medusa when she gets released to Captain's Mode in the next couple of months. I think we're going to actually see Medusa picked up quite frequently. I think she's a very competitive hero now. I think she was an okay hero before, and I think the fact that they've changed her ultimate so much that she's going to synergize with heroes like Naga Siren, Tide Hunter, Treant Protector, I think is going to be huge in this patch, simply because he's such good anti-gank with his living armor. He can keep people alive fairly well, even through all of that. Let's see. I think Huskar might actually become a staple. As awkward as that sounds, I think that the changes to him might be again in the next couple of months when he's re-added to Captain's Mode. I think he might be a decisive factor in games. Doombringer is another one who can go Shadowblade now and go ult somebody and just follow them around with. And Doombringer can get super fast Aghanims. Like, I get Aghanims in like 16 minutes with Shadowblade, 18 minutes with Shadowblade, Aghanims, running around on Doombringer. You can just go ult somebody and just follow them around, and it will be devastating. Especially with the changes to Doom now actually stopping Feast, Backtrack, all of these other juxtaposed dispersion. I think that Doom will be picked up quite frequently if we're going to be seeing Lifestealer still around, if Spectre can still live around, if Phantom Lancer makes it through these changes. Let's talk a moment about Phantom Lancer's change. Phantom Lancer only had one change, and that is Spirit Lance, Doppellock, Juxtapose, and Phantom Edge illusions. Damage dealt decreased from 25 to 20%. So, honestly, not a huge problem. I think one of the major strengths of Phantom Lancer is that he can stay behind enemy lines and kill off supports incredibly quickly with a Diffusal Blade, or at least drop their mana pool down below effective level. So if you've got a Warlock waiting to drop his ultimate in a team fight, and you have a Phantom Lancer who will use his Spirit Lance or his Doppelwalk and a Spirit Lance with a Diffusal Blade, that Warlock's not going to have enough mana to really have an impact on the game. So I don't think that this change is going to necessarily kick Phantom Lancer out of the game. I think it's going to lessen his pushing power more than anything else. I think it's going to change his pushing ability, not necessarily his team fight presence. So I think Phantom Lancer might be able to stick around, and being able to disable Juxtapose and all of Phantom Lancer's abilities is going to make Doom a lot more prevalent. And again, we have to look at this nerf here is not the only nerf to Phantom Lancer. Phantom Lancer also was nerfed by Dust applying a slow, and that gem is never breakable. So there will always be detection on the map on one or the other teams if gem is purchased. Another hero that I think we're going to see a lot more of is actually going to be Razor. I think that Razor's in the current game, I think Razor is an underutilized hero. I think he's actually very powerful. His static link will reduce an enemy carry almost instantly in a team fight if you can live during it. And with the mobility of Razor, that's not really an issue. You can kind of go around. I think that Razor is played incorrectly in most cases. My personal experience with Razor, and I have played quite a few games. I have played quite a few games with Razor in aggressive tri-lanes. I go Yule's Scepter. That way I have the option of either throwing myself or my target up in the air to maintain that static link. It also increases your base movement speed. Phase Boots is another one that will increase your base movement speed. Manta Style, increased movement speed. Excuse me. I have something in my throat. And then maxing out Unstable Current, which gives you increased movement speed. Drums of Endurance, another one that gives you increased movement speed. And you'll be basically a max movement speed, attack speed reduction hero. So with the changes to Eye of the Storm, duration increased to 30 at all levels. Strike intervals decreased to strike much, much quicker than they do currently. With Aghanims, anyway, 0.35 is incredibly faster than it was before. Almost half as many strikes will be used. So I think Razor will actually be utilized in the game. I think that maybe he won't be, but I feel like he's become more viable, I guess is the way that I want to describe that. He is an underutilized hero, and I don't know why why there's such a negative attitude towards Razor. I think with the change up, I think we're going to be seeing a lot of experimentation for a couple of months, and I think that Razor will be one that we will be seeing quite regularly. Let's talk about the new Aghanims upgrades on Silencer and Omni Knight. Silencer now affects sleeping units, so I'm assuming this is going to synergize with Turin Chieftain or Elder Titan and Bane Elemental. I think that the global silence will actually. I don't think that this change is super necessary. Just kind of to tie in loose ends. But the new Aghanim Scepter upgrade for Silencer is that it casts Curse of the Silent, which is his health and mana degeneration, onto all units. And I believe that the way that this is phrased, it says all units, but you can't cast it onto creeps. So, like, if you cast it on creeps, they won't be affected by it. So I don't think that applies to creeps. I think it's only going to apply to heroes, and it increases the duration by 1 second. So An already very powerful silence, global silence, can be huge team impact, is now also going to drain mana and deal health over time. Do I think this is worthwhile? Maybe. I mean, I don't see it being super duper effective. Um, yes, I just said super duper, but I would like to see some versatility in the lineup. So I would like to see some competitive teams and some very high skill level teams um, playing around with the new Aghanim upgrades, especially on side. Let's go to Omni Knight. He only had one change in this patch, and that is his Aghanim upgrade now will affect buildings, and it is global. So I actually think that this could be a way to fit into, and I was actually thinking about this the other night when I was thinking about how I wanted to do this video. And I think that Omni Knight Scepter upgrade will actually be very commonly utilized when he's picked up. Because if the game shifts to a uh, ganking meta, I think that we will see Omni Knight pretty commonly picked up. I mean, he has an AoE slow. He has very high nuke burst, and he can be counter gank. Or well, he can gank, and in response to a counter gank, he can give magic immunity and heals to his teammate. So I think a semi carry off lane farming Omni Knight is not necessarily outside of the ballpark. Getting a quick Aghanims and then being able to heal up buildings, because Treant is actually a super strong hero in my opinion because he has the ability to heal buildings. And now with the Omni Knight, and let's go ahead and take a look at Omni Knight really fast. All right, so it gives 25 health regeneration for 7 seconds, uh, and then causes them to be immune um, to physical damage. So great anti-push. 150-second cooldown is pretty long, but again, I think that Omni Knight might be able to actually fit into the new meta pretty okay. I think Naga Siren's actually going to also come back while we're looking at her right now. I think Naga Siren with her Sing is going to be very crucial to the way that I think that 6.78 is going to be played out. And then the last one that has an Aghanims upgrade that I believe is the last one anyway is Necrolite. And Necrolite, I think, is I think this is one of the most unique skills in the game now, and I'd love to see him play more. I think he is a really brutal hero to play against. Um, Give him a mech, and he can heal his team up forever. Um, if a unit dies under Reaper Scythe, it will be credited to Necrolite. I believe the way that that's going to work is that if Faceless Void actually gets the last hit on the kill, he will get the gold for it, but Necrolite will get the health and mana regeneration, which is going to be huge. It's going to be basically a free cast on his Reaper Scythe. Get an Aghanim Scepter, and I actually think this makes Aghanim's upgrade worthwhile in the late game for Necrolite, and it's going to be that Reaper Scythe causes buyback to be disabled on heroes that it kills. So that late game push, that final game push, you get this onto the enemy carry, uh, and then they, as long as you get the kill for it, they can't buy back, and that's uh, it's going to make it very difficult or it's going to make it a lot more interesting to watch, because I believe that it'll make comebacks a lot. If again, if you have the skill enough to time it correctly, it'll make comebacks actually a possibility and make it really super fun to watch. Well, an instant turnaround. Is there anything else that I think is going to be massively impacted? Other than, I mean, like the normal ones. I mean, like obviously, Gyrocopter's flat cannon cooldown. I think that was a fairly good nerf. It's just going to make his lane presence a little bit less damaging. Clockwork's Paracog nerf, I think this was really unnecessary. I think this was just an absolute hate on Clockwork. Um, but that's just me. Oh, and then again, going back to what I said yesterday, wherever he is, Viper. I think Viper will actually come into his own in this patch. I think by removing the ability to purge, Viper Strike is going to increases his ganking potential, and I think Corrosive Skin being any source of damage, so that Crystal Maiden lands a Crystal Nova on top of you, she's going to be taking that slow and damage over time. Excuse me. So I think that that's actually going to be quite popular, maybe quite popular pickup. Um, Lone Druid also got some changes that I think are going to impact him. I think we're going to see the return of the possibly the return of the jungling Lone Druid, because that bear is now worth 300 gold. That's going to be, it's super fragile. You have to be super careful with it now, because giving 300 gold early on to a support is going to make your lane really difficult. So I think that that we might see the return of the jungle bear as well as the radiance bear, because the armlet toggle doesn't work anymore. I think so. Uh, Again, overall, I think it's just a really nice patch. It's going to be a really, really solid foundation to start working on in the next couple of months. We're not going to, and with like any changes to any game out there, I mean, like you can see it with StarCraft, you can see it with Warhammer 40K or Warhammer Fantasy, or I don't know, any game that changes the dynamics to this extent. League of Legends, Heroes of New Earth, even Guild Wars 2 to some extent. Um, Games that change like this breathing, living environment, you're not going to see change immediately. You're going to see change progress over time. So, heroes like Spirit Breaker might be picked every game in the next 2 to 3 months, and then when people start to realize, well, you know what, this game is actually taking a direction towards more, or taking a lean towards this direction, you'll see Spirit Breaker drop off the face of the earth, and we'll start seeing heroes like Kunkka picked up or something. It's an evolving game, and I think that uh, at some point in time during this patch, I think that we'll be seeing Spirit Breaker and Night Stalker come into play. I think that we might be seeing Omni Knights picked up. I think heroes that we haven't seen in a long time. I think Naga might be picked up. I think Medusa might be picked up. Meepo might even make an appearance here and there. I mean, like, I think that we will be seeing a huge change from the standard, you know, Life Stealer, Gyrocopter, Phantom Lancer, Faceless Void picks. I think we'll be seeing really interesting team comps. I think we're going to be seeing really new strategies coming out. I'm really looking forward to TI3. If you guys haven't picked up Compendium, I would recommend that you do that as soon as possible, because I think it's going to be something incredible to watch. I think that the teams are going to come out the gate, and I think that they're going to be trying brand new strategies that we've never seen before, and picking heroes that we would never expect them to pick. I think that it's going to be a blast to watch the TI3. I think this patch was invented or designed around the premise of TI3, giving us a really, really good show. And of course, I will be casting the TI3. Hopefully, I won't be on stream cast, or I won't be on the actual Dota casting. But hopefully, I will be streaming here on JohnnySigs's Dota2 Twitch TV .tv, JohnnySigs's Dota2 whatever I'm at, whatever you're watching this at, there will be links somehow to get to my channel, and I will be uploading them to YouTube at some point. So, and again, I'm getting really used to this casting. I haven't been practicing nearly as much as I've been doing. I'm going to be trying to do it 5 days a week. I practice, as lame as it sounds, I practice in the mirror in the morning when I'm brushing my teeth, getting ready for work. I practice doing some monologues about different heroes and their abilities and how they impact the game. So I am working very hard and diligently to try to increase my performance level in casting. Tomorrow I might have a co-host on the show, or on the rather, a good friend of mine, Gusty, and we will be talking about unique team builds, and we'll probably be carrying on the theme of 6.78. If he has the chance to read it, I know that he's not feeling well, so hopefully he's feeling better and he's had a chance to read 6.78, and we'll be able to start talking about theory crafting behind what teams we might be seeing as far as the heroes picked in the upcoming patch. So hopefully, I mean, I didn't want to make this one go on too long. 30 minutes is a pretty long video. I just wanted to go ahead, get my opinions out there, get my thoughts out there, maybe open up some minds to some different possibilities, and really kind of break the status quo about this game, that it has to be, it has to be Phantom Lancer in a game, and it has to be Gyrocopter in the game to counter that Phantom Lancer. I want you to start thinking, no, it doesn't. If we pick X, Y, and Z, we can deal with A, B, and C. So I want you to steal, as opposed to Gyrocopter beats Phantom Lancer, I want you to start thinking about, well, and this is a really extreme example, but let's say Lycanthrope and Leshrac counter Phantom Lancer, and here's the reasons why. Right? I want you to start thinking about it. I want you to start implementing different strategies. Go Morphling with a hood first. Go Morphling, Treads, Hood. Or even better, go Morphling, Arcane Boots, and Hood. I've seen it done. I've seen it excel amazingly. So, I mean, there's tons of possibilities. This game is not set in stone. It's going to be completely shifting all the time, and you never know if it might be you that makes that shift have to happen. So, thanks for tuning in, guys. Any criticism or advice that you guys might like to down below, I promise I've got a really thick skin. Give me the advice. I can absorb it. I can try to do better in my casting. And again, I will be doing this daily, 5 days a week, and I will be practicing off camera as much as possible too. So when I'm sitting in my cubicle at work, typing up data reports, and I start talking to myself, and my coworkers are all looking at, what's he doing? Doing it for you guys. So please, again, leave comments down below if you're watching this on YouTube. If you're not, thanks for watching the stream, guys. But head over to YouTube, like it. Please subscribe. I like to see my. I am a little bit vain, and I do like to see my viewer basis grow. So I think this is a long enough video. Again, go check out Luminous's video. I'll put a link in the description box below if you guys really want to watch a video that goes into super detail about all the changes in this patch. I highly recommend it. You're going to be playing 3 games of Dota tonight. Put on this 3-hour discussion in the background and just try to absorb as much as you can, because the game is going to be shifting, and it's always good to know a little bit about the game before it actually changes. Until the next game, the next time, guys, I'll see you in game.